an American president will never give you a shout out in a UN speech, especially if you are an African president, unless they want something from you. And this is something that a lot of people have been saying, and of course we already saw they already delivered the first thing that they wanted, which was sending our troops to Haiti, like our policemen.
Red card, 2 red cards to 2 boulets out there. Barbara Lee, she's a congresswoman, California, and Gwen Moore, Wisconsin. She's the Democrat congresswoman there. Those two, you know how they always say, like, when people are at the top, there are those who forget, like, where they came from, especially, like, in terms of the history of let's just talk about the slavery and the neocolonialism and what's happening there. Why were these two, there was 8 of them, but these 2 specific ones, and the reason I'm calling them out is because they're black.
Okay.
Why were they there? They couldn't have said no. I don't have a beef. I mean, I have beef with the 6 other ones who are white men.
Yeah.
But these 2 specific black women, those are boulets, bootlickers, for those who don't know what I'm saying.
I was about to say, who are boulets?
America's complicity in Kenya's situation has been quite glaringly open, from the state visit. Kuna issues kama Haiti, there's IMF being mentioned. There are those congressmen and women who decided to visit Parliament during a debate of this contentious bill. Of course, they're on a trip to Kenya, and maybe it was a coincidence, but we still don't have that report. I mean, of course, the video is out there. We posted it for people to see. So, as people who are out here in the US, what can we do to highlight America's complicity?
Before I even answer that question, I want to give a red card, 2 red cards to 2 boulets out there. Barbara Lee, she's a congresswoman, California, and Gwen Moore, Wisconsin. She's the Democrat congresswoman there. Those 2, you know how they always say, like, when people are at the top, there are those who forget, like, where they came from, especially, like, in terms of the history of let's just talk about the slavery and the neocolonialism and what's happening there. Why were these 2, there was 8 of them, but these 2 specific ones, and the reason I'm calling them out is because they're black.
Okay.
Why were they there? They couldn't have said no. I don't have a beef. I mean, I have beef with the 6 other ones who are white men.
Yeah.
But these 2 specific black women, those are boulets, bootlickers, for those who don't know what I'm saying.
I was about to say, who are boulets?
Boulets are bootlickers. Kwanza.
I thought that was somebody from Rift Valley.
No.
Oh, you are thinking Kool-Aid. You are thinking Kool-Aid. Yeah?
Cholet.
Or Cholet. Boss.
Anyway. I'm Ghost Muley.
Muley is not from.
It's the name.
Yeah, it's the name. It's the name.
So obviously, Ruto is in the pockets of the Biden administration. When he came, baka alipewa nini, aliambiwa kae chini kwa kiti ya president.
Yes.
Like, that was a very big statement that was being passed.
And that was a very horrible symbol. I don't think Ruto realized it.
Yes.
But that was a very horrible symbol.
He was actually getting mocked, Yeah. Walikuwa na mgasap. So
So that, like the state visit. And now the people who, like the OneMicShow, we've been accused so many times of being biased. But I am glad what happened, because we've been vindicated. Like we've had meetings of where, like we're asking ourselves, should we now start playing devil's advocate and seeing the other side of the story? But one thing I like about our format is that none of us are trained journalists. Whatever we know, we've learned online, and we have one of our super producers, Mubelo Bandio, who's an actual journalist. So he certainly sometimes keeps a discipline. But what I like about the independence we have is, I don't like this thing in journalism where they say that there's always two sides to a story. That is a lie. There are some stories that have only one side. And I'm sorry, this is one of them. Msema ukweli, I'm sorry, you're wrong on this one. There's certain stories. Another example of a story where there's only one side is like what's happening against the Palestinians. But there's only one side. There's no two sides.
The Zionist side.
Yeah, this thing of let's listen to the other guys and let's listen to their point of view. No, these guys are killing these other people, and it's live. These murders are being broadcast.
And nobody has ever listened to the Palestinians for over 75 years.
Yes, and so that's why I'm saying, I like this independence. So as far as the complicity of Americans, there's the International Monetary Fund. There's these projections of soft power, like this state visit. Remember, a state visit is America's highest expression of soft power, and they only do this when they want something from you. They will never give you a shout out. An American president will never give you a shout out in a UN speech, especially if you are an African president, unless they want something from you. And this is something that a lot of people have been saying. And of course, we already saw they already delivered the first thing that they wanted, which was sending our troops to Haiti, like our policemen.
Our police officers.
Yeah, our police officers. The designation of the non-NATO ally was officialized just a day before those troops were sent. And this was no coincidence. This was no coincidence at all. So there are so many other things that America wants from Kenya. And I think they like working with William Ruto because they know he's vulnerable, they know he's naive, and they know, he has certain things that he wants that they can give him. And believe it or not, the United States right now is fully vested on having a second-term presidency of William Ruto. If you don't believe me, just ask anyone who understands geopolitics. America always accuses China and Russia of meddling in elections, but America is the biggest meddler of foreign elections in the world. And they will try to meddle in Kenya's elections. Now, when you go back to when William Ruto won the elections in 2022, or allegedly, when it was still being contested. Remember, that was the time when Meg Whitman, let's call her Meg Gerotich Whitman, had just been sent to become the ambassador of Kenya. So Meg Whitman, she was one of the first people while the election was still being contested. She was one of the first people who said that this was a credible election. And to me, red flags all over the place. And with what we've seen, along the line, we've been vindicated. The special envoy for Haiti, I think his name is Dan Foote, admitted that the idea of sending Kenyan troops or rather Kenyan police to Haiti was Meg Whitman's idea. Ambassador Meg Whitman, that's another person that we are issuing a red card. Meg Whitman must go. That's someone who has to go because she's partly responsible for enabling all these shenanigans that William Ruto is doing, and we need to do something about it. Remember when when Ruto was coming here for the state visit, why was the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi inviting people? Why is the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi involved in a state visit of a Kenyan president? Then they're supposed to be working in Nairobi, not inviting, though it's sending personal invites to people over here. So they're very, very involved. It's kind of like Meg Whitman has become Kenya's Ruto's minister for foreign affairs. So we have to be very careful about what's happening. And of course, those Congress members also need to tell us what this is about. Now, coming to Roba and Kelvin, But before that, I think Val has a quick point she wants to make. Then I'm gonna come to you, Roba.
Kwanzaa, US needs to be focusing on the visa corruption thing that is going back, happening at home. That's what Meg Whitman needs to do. And then another thing, this thing is bigger than you think. I was just wondering, could there be a correlation between Russia and World War III and them moving their ships, building a base, and then the Kenyan police going to Haiti? I wonder if there is a relation there, if something is connected, maybe.
There's something cooking.
There's something cooking.
There's something cooking.
Something definitely cooking.
There's something cooking from unofficial sources, and I repeat, this is from unofficial sources. And of course, we've already seen, with this designation of Kenya as a non-NATO ally, they want Kenya to be trying, those Houthi rebels who are caught in the high seas. Eventually, their plan, I strongly believe, is to have the Kenyan Navy go out there, fight on behalf of the U.S.
No,
and let me tell you this, they will get cooked by the Houthi rebels. Mika.
Their plan is actually just Manda Bay. They want a bay. They don't have a bay in Africa. They want Manda Bay because if you've ever looked at the geography of the world, Kenya is situated in the center of the world. The other base that they have in that region, close by, is in Bahrain. And so for them, they feel that Bahrain handles much of the Gulf. And if they can get one in Kenya, that easily also sort of kind of dilutes the presence of China and Russia in Africa. These are all geopolitical wars that they're fighting right now. Right? There's a lot of Russian presence in Northwest Africa, There's a lot of Chinese presence in South Africa, Angola, and that area region. So for them, it's more of like they've never really set up a serious base where they can just say that we have an American base. And Manda Bay has always been something that not even Trump was trying to get into a trade deal to get Manda Bay. Like all American presidents have just been crying for Manda Bay and asking for Manda Bay. And I guess there is actually a report that came out that the IMF told Kenya there's going to be pushback against the finance bill, but they assessed it to be a mid-tier pushback. And then it will go back to being okay. So there is a meddling hands, and that is why, for me, I keep on insisting and telling people we can call those 8 congressmen who are there, but if we call the people who represent us here locally and complain about it and talk about it and make noise about it and make it known in Congress that this is an issue among the Kenyan voters here who reside here, and it's an issue from congressmen who are here, there's gonna be a much serious impact on that, because once you affect their local politics over here and they start talking, then the government will have to be put in check. Why are you doing this? So we have to make that noise, but let's not lie to ourselves. There is a lot of meddling in this thing. The thing is, Ruto is being told, we are going to finance you and give you these things, but you have to show us how you're paying them. And he says, I'm going to increase taxes. There's so much potential for me to tax in the country. And then they look at it and tell them, okay, go tax your people. And then we're going to we'll negotiate with you. So, no, we're not going to let them allow Ruto to do what he wants to do so that they can get what they want from Ruto. We have to fight them. As the Kenyans are fighting there, we also have to fight here for the Kenyans.